So this video is going to be a little different from the ones I've done in the past. The ones I've done in the past have been a lot more mindset stuff. This one is going to be very first principles oriented, and I think I'm going to center it around just basic principles for lead generation in general. First, to start with the video, I'm going to talk about what I do. So what I personally do for lead generation, my favorite is LinkedIn DMs. I have a pretty good ABR, which I'll talk about in a minute. On LinkedIn DMs, I send out about 20-ish a day. Then I do two sessions, one where I follow up and do some posts, and the other one where I send out messages and just be active on the platform. Another good method that most people online, especially agencies, can use is cold calling. Now, if I'm being honest, I'm not the biggest fan of cold calling personally, although it is the best thing you can do. Yeah, cold calling might not get you the best ABR. I mean, over time it will. I know someone that has over a 10% ABR, which means they book a meeting 1 in 10 calls based off of metrics. I mean, that's pretty insane to think about. Especially if you have 100 leads and you can do 100 calls in a day, that's pretty easy. I'm just saying, booking 10 meetings a day should not be difficult at all. But to get into it a little bit, how I set up my LinkedIn, and I'll probably put a picture somewhere on the screen. This is what my metrics look like. I'm not the one that designed this sheet. It is all worked out by my mentor, or I guess the course I've taken before. It was all designed. I've just been using it forever because it works. It calculates it for you. It's nice. But the top one you're going to see is P1s. P1s, this is for LinkedIn DM, by the way. P1s is messages sent in general. So P1 is whenever I send someone the first message. P2 is when they say, yeah, go ahead, send me some more information. That's P2. P3 is the Calendly link to get them to book on a call or appointment, I guess. And then there's a lot of different rates. ABR is the most important, which is appointment booking rate. What percentage of P1s equals an appointment? So I think right now you can't judge LinkedIn DMs too much because you have to let it sit for at least 10 days for it to actually count because people always respond later. But I believe my ABR is close to 3 right now. As the month goes on, it ends up close to 4 to 5 at the end of the month, which is pretty good for LinkedIn DMs. I mean, that means for every 20 messages that I send, or I guess every 100 messages I send, I get 5. So for every 20, I get 1. It's not bad. That means I'm getting a meeting per day. That's 30 meetings a month. That's pretty good. That's a good ABR. What I will say, the main thing here is look for bottlenecks. Because if you're seeing, let's see, like you have 200 P1s and you only have 10 P2s, it means your P1 isn't very good. Now, don't go up and changing the whole thing. Please do not do that. Do not go up and changing the whole thing because then you won't know what works and what doesn't work. If you change your entire script or if you go to like an audio message or like a Loom video, then you won't know what works. Don't do that. Change one thing at a time. Follow the scientific method. All that good stuff. If you have a P2 bottleneck, that's a little different. That might be offer based, which we'll go over in a few minutes. But it is imperative that you have a good offer, and that is very important. P2 should be your actual offer. And if there's a bottleneck at P3, you just want to follow up, get them to book the call. That's not too complicated. Now moving on to cold calls a little bit. You have dials, you have pickups, decision makers, resignations, and appointments. Again, I'll put it on the screen somewhere. My ABR for cold calling is not good, and that's mainly because this batch of leads wasn't very good. I'm calling them anyway. I probably shouldn't be. Either way, that is not a realistic metric. That is just because I have absolutely terrible pickups for the amount of people that I dial because half these people, these aren't verified leads, so they're not very good. Don't worry about that. What we're looking at is the actual metrics itself and what they mean. So dials, I would 100% recommend double dialing. What that means is you call someone, and within 30 seconds of hanging up, you call them again, because that way if they have their phone on silence, or if they have some kind of scammer protection or whatnot, it will go through. Also, my hair is getting quite long, I will say. Definitely got a lot going on over here. But either way, that's the importance of dials, and you definitely want to be double dialing and then leave a message. And if you can, whenever they call back, pick it up and start with your script. Scripts will be in another video, and that's a whole different topic. We'll talk about that later. Then you go on to pickups. Pretty simple. Do they pick up the phone? Yes or no? That's the amount of people that picked up the phone. And then of the people that picked up the phone, either DM or decision maker rate, that means were they the owner of the company, the person you're trying to find. Like if you have CEO John Williams and he picked up, but it's Rachel on the phone, that's not a decision maker. If they're with the same company, that's not a decision maker. That's called a gatekeeper, which is someone like a receptionist. Now, if they are, obviously you move forward again and you talk to them, and resonation means they heard you out in your pitch. So I would start off like, hey, John Williams, or hey, John, my name is Sam. This is a cold call. Would you mind if I had 30 seconds of your time? Whenever they say sure, and you go through the pitch, and they're like, yeah, you know what, send me an email or something like that, that's a resonation. If they say no, that doesn't count. And resonations normally lead to meetings. So I normally have an email that I always send people if they ask for an email. But if you want to, you can have a conversation with them on the phone, and hopefully, once you hear the resonation, they don't say email. Hopefully they have time, and then you want to get their email and find a time that works for you and them, which is why it's important to know what time zone you're calling, which is very important. I don't know that with this batch of leads, so it is kind of difficult. They're in the US at least. But anyways, when you want to book a meeting with someone, that again is your ABR. I think I have like an atrocious ABR for the cold calling that I'm going to put up. I think it's 0.25. For 400 cold calls, I booked one meeting. Now again, there's reasons for that, and we're not going to focus on that. Okay? But ABR is your most important. It ranges from niche to niche what your ABR can be. Anything above a 5 I would consider very good. 10 is astonishing. If you can hit 10%, that would be great. Not a lot of people ever get there. That's just from a lot of practice and from a lot of sales experience, a lot of experience in your niche, and you really know how to talk to them. But ABR in cold calls is very important because cold calls, they take a bit longer and you need to do them at specific times of the day. So let's say your niche is agencies. That's my niche. You can really outreach to agencies at any time as long as they're not a physical building. Obviously not too late, obviously not too early. But they don't really have business hours. Like me, myself, I don't own a brick and mortar building. I don't really have business hours. Yeah, I have hours I can take calls, but I don't have a defined time when I stop working. I will work till 10 o'clock at night if I want to. Brick and mortar buildings, if you're outreaching to clinics, lawn cares, law firms, whoever you're going after, they obviously have business hours. And you want to call them in their business hours. So sometimes, a lot of times actually, I find it good to call a time zone that is behind you. So I'm in the time zone CST or CDT, which is Central American Time Zone. Right now it is 8:42 p.m. If I were to, I get home at, let's say, 3, I have schoolwork, yada, yada, yada. At 5 o'clock, yeah, it's still within business hours, but you don't have a whole lot of time to cold call people. I would cold call people in California, which for me are 2 hours behind me. It would only be, right now it would be 6:50 or 6:42 by them. That would be great because they're 2 hours behind. When I get home at 5 o'clock, it's only 3 by them. I can call them for 3 hours if I want to. If it's a brick and mortar building, I wouldn't call past 6. Obviously, if you have a job, if you have a school, do it after school. You don't really want to do it in the mornings. But another big thing that I haven't been the best at is leave messages and answer the calls when they call you back. So for a long time, yes, I was leaving messages, but I realized that I couldn't really take more than half their calls. 9 out of 10 of their calls, because I was either doing something that I couldn't drop immediately, or I was in school. And which is why you should specify on the message when to call you back. Because if you say, yeah, give me a call back whenever, and they end up calling you at like 4 a.m. your time, might be 6 a.m. for them, depending on their time zone, whatever it is. Yeah, you probably can't talk then unless you're up at 4 a.m. for whatever reason. So I always specify 3 to 9 in the afternoon. If they're in a time zone that is behind me, that works out well because I get home at about 2. And if they're a time zone ahead of me, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to call me at 9 o'clock at night. That seems kind of dumb. But if they do, that'll go up to 10 for all the U.S. So that kind of works out for me. It'd be nice to specify your hours. That way when you get a call back, answer it. Answer it with your script. Make sure you get their name, obviously, so you know who you're calling. But then proceed with your script as you would normally. So another thing that I want to talk about in here is warm-up. accounts. So, like I said, I personally prefer LinkedIn for DMs. I'm going to move to Facebook a little bit as well, do those two. But it's very important for LinkedIn that everything has limits. For every DM platform, there are limits. I'm going to put up my account tracker somewhere up here. Basically, what this is it's the warm up process. Now, a lot of these numbers aren't right because it was old and they changed their policy, and I already know it by mine, so I don't really use this anymore, but I did used to use it. So I think in week 1, what this says is you're doing 0.5 posts, which means a post every other day. You're doing 5 connections a day. You're doing like 3 comments, 5 likes, something like that, and there are no DMs. Again, this is a little outdated, so it's no longer accurate. You can only do about 1 post every 2 or 3 days now on LinkedIn, or else you'll get banned. Trust me, I figured it out the hard way. But then once you move on to week 2, so you do that 7 days in a row, then you move on to week 2, then you start doing 2 DMs a day, 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 connection requests, something like that, and then scroll for a few minutes. Join some groups, whatever's on there. But the important part is that you do the scaling correctly. So week 1 and week 2, yeah, if it's a brand new account, you definitely want to give it some time, be slow, interact, be a human. I mean, I know it's not really difficult, but don't just go in there, do your DMs, and leave. You'll get flagged and you'll get banned. What you want to do, like I said, is slowly warm it up. But once you get to the scaling point, which is around week 3 for most platforms, Facebook's a little different. You got to wait longer for Facebook. But for LinkedIn, it's at week 3. Every day you add 2. So we're not counting posts because you're not going to end up doing 20 posts a day. But for DMs, connection requests, likes, and comments, you want to add 2 every day until you get to the theoretical maximum. So the maximum DMs now for LinkedIn with their updated policy is about 20 to 25 per day. I do 20 to stay on the safer end of stuff because, like I said, I got banned a few times for doing the posts too much. That's no big deal. But I would go from 2 a day, ramp it up, 2 more every day. So next day is 4, then 6, then 8, then 10, yada yada. You get to 20, then you stop going there. Maybe go to 25. It's your opinion. Then connection requests, I would go to 30 or 40 per day. I try and do about 40 whenever my limit isn't reached for the week. 40 is definitely a good place to go. I wouldn't do much more than that, though. You might get flagged. Another one is likes. I think you can take that up really as much as you want. There's no limit on likes as long as you're not doing like 300 a day. Same with comments. Comment away. I doubt you feel like writing out 50 comments. Don't worry about doing that. Specifically on LinkedIn, they have games. Definitely play the games. They are rather enjoyable, but they also show you're a real human. You interact. And the last thing that I want to talk about with DMs is workflows. So I prefer 2 workflows. Some people prefer 3. Me for 2, it makes it simple. It works fine for me. Again, some people prefer 3. You split up everything into 2 or 3 sections. So I'm going to tell you how I do it, which is in the morning, I have a period in school called Stripes. Obviously, I'm still in school, if none of you guys could have guessed. It's called Stripes, and my school is a Tiger, so Stripes. But it's a 45-minute free period. I think it starts at 9:30 to about 10:15-ish per day. And in that time, I do my morning workflow. What my morning workflow consists of is following up with the people. Everybody gets a follow-up, which the schedule, that will be in another video with the scripts. But you want to follow up, like once every day or so. So I do all my follow-ups in the morning. Then I do half of my daily likes, half of my daily comments. And the important thing is, when you're doing connections, you want to spread it out. So I'm doing 10 and 10 once I haven't reached my limit. So I do 10 the second I log on. I do 10 connections. Then I do everything else. I do half my comments, half my likes, maybe a post, follow-ups. Then I do my other 10 connections. You don't want to sit there and tap and connect with everybody, which you'll do in your middle tab, the connections tab. That, again, looks kind of like a bot. You don't want to look like a bot. But then on the night workflow, that's when you send the DMs. Because with LinkedIn, it's different with other platforms. With LinkedIn, you can send the DMs all at once. Some platforms, you have to split it up. Sometimes I have to do 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. LinkedIn, it's fine. You can do 20 in the afternoon, go on your connections. I like to scroll down, start at the bottom, and then, click message every dude, copy and paste whatever your script is, and message those 20 people. Again, do another 20 connections, 10 before, 10 after. Make sure to play the games. Like I said, they are kind of fun. And, make you seem like a human. I don't see why not. You wouldn't do them. Finish off your likes, finish off your comments, and, pretty much wrapped up for the day. And then next morning, On a good day, you'll wake up with at least 10 more messages. On a normal day, you wake up with maybe 5 to 10. On a bad day, sometimes you wake up with no messages back. Maybe they didn't go through, whatever happened. And the next day, next morning when you wake up, you'll have a lot of responses. Please respond to those people. If they say yes, send me more info, send them a P2, and make sure to track it on your sheet thing. So I thought about adding the links for all this stuff in the description. I will discuss it with the person that actually gave it to me because I don't know if I should. Also, if I do, it'll be in the scripts video, which I'm probably going to make next or either next video. Either way, I hope you found this useful. I know this was a lot of information and it's definitely an overview. I'm not going over everything right now. I will have a video more in depth and I will have a video actually showing how I do it. I will have it on my phone, actually doing it, not just telling you what it looks like. And I'll go a lot more in depth there for cold calling, go a lot more in depth for the LinkedIn DMs. Whenever I start Facebook, I'll go more in depth for that. And I have some pretty good videos coming out soon. Feel free to stay tuned, like, subscribe, it's free. And if you want to work with me, if you want some help with this, you want me to personally show you how to do it, maybe actually do it for you, please feel free to message me. I got a link down in the description. You book a call if you want. I know, shameless plug. But with that, I wish you all a great day and be sure to tune in some other videos.